everyone, and welcome to week 3 of Opening Night Live. As we mentioned in our post earlier today, we are not in the actual theater right now because we're hoping to have some better Wi-Fi connections and
a little out of focus, so come towards the camera.
Uninterrupted feed. And I'll adjust here. So we are at our undisclosed location, and we tried our best to make the theater here. So as you're tuning in, please say hi. I already see a couple people tuning in. Hi everyone who's on so far. Like I said, this is week 3 of Opening Night Live, and it's a fun conclusion to our 3rd week of the Fill the Seats campaign. As a reminder, you can find more information about our campaign and donate at galleontheater.org/donate. We are also going to be putting the first order of our gold t-shirts, our blue t-shirts, and our red campaign t-shirts. So if you haven't ordered yours yet, go on to the galleontheater.org/donate webpage and order your t-shirt because we'll be placing that order soon.
A little out of focus, so I'm going to interrupt here.
One moment, we're a little out of focus. Our tech guy is fixing it.
Please.
It is blurry.
Yeah, please.
We're pulling it together. There is a cute dog on the ground here. Perks of the home theater.
I think that may be the best we're going to get.
It was clearer when we tested it, but I think I'll just keep going so we can get the night rolling, and Rowan might be trying to do some fixes on the blurriness. So we'll see if that gets any better. We have raised almost $21,000 so far in this campaign, which is super exciting. And once again, we cannot be more grateful or appreciative of the contributions you've made so far. Reminder, keep raising awareness, keep sharing our posts and liking them and interacting with them. Spread the word of our fundraising campaign with family and friends. Let us know something about the theater that you would like to see, a sneak peek at a backstage area in particular, or let us know what you'd like to learn, whether it's more vocal warm-ups, some choreography, and lots of other things theater related. And we'll try to do videos on that. Okay, without further ado, I'm going to introduce our guest for Opening Night Live Week 3. We introduced her on Monday. It's Nancy Herman here with us tonight. She has been part of our theater since the very beginning. She played Mother Abbess in The Sound of Music for that first production, and has been in several productions after. She has been an actor, a director. She's done makeup. She was on the board. Everything you can think of at the theater, she's done it. So, without further ado, here's Nancy. As she runs in.
I'm out of breath from running here.
Just in time.
Okay. Phew. Well, hi, Beth and director. And he's very cute, blonde. I like blondes.
It's new.
So, Beth, did you want me to just kind of play on what your questions were?
Yeah, that would be great. We'll start if you want to just give a brief introduction for yourself, if you want, and then we'll jump into those questions as we get down.
And we've got lots of people saying hello.
Yes, Fred and Mary Sue are on. Paige Regan's on. My comments just disappeared.
Stacy Herman, they're in the house. Tom King says hello from Florida.
Oh my gosh, it's my cousin.
Yay.
Janet Herman Barlow, of course.
Yep.
My own mother, Jacqueline.
Jim Hoover's here.
Lots of people are in the
Yeah.
house, and they're excited to see you.
Well, that's wonderful.
Just everyone's a little blurry, so I apologize for that, but I think it's what we're gonna have to deal with here.
Okay.
So feel free to tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right, a little bit. Let's see. I am years old, and my friend is. That's
Someone at the door.
Yeah,
Sorry
that's
about
all right. As Beth asked me some questions, so I'm going to kind of follow her lead. and I've written down some things so I wouldn't forget anything. So I was a teacher for 32 years, and I think teachers, you asked your mother this, but I do think teachers have to have a little bit of acting in the roles, you know, to get the kids excited and all. So I was there when the theater, and anyway, that's my whole background is teaching. When the theater first started in 1984, and I was lucky enough to be able to play Mother Abbess. Kitty must have seen, because I got up there at auditions between Kitty Butterfield and Denver Wilson, and my voice cracked and I forgot my words. So I thought, well, that takes care of me. So, but anyway, I got the part, and it was so wonderful. The people in this town were so ready for something, anything, and the enthusiasm was just incredible. And they were ready for something. It was super high. So, how did I get involved in theater? Well, it's funny you should ask. My mother and father both loved theater, and occasionally, if they could get the money, they would go to Columbus and see a play. But mother also wanted to have performing children. So my brother, Dick, Richard, played the marimba. My sister played the piano and the violin. I played very bad flute. But she would book little jobs for us with the civic groups or with church groups. And we would have to play for them. Dick, we had no trouble carrying, I had no trouble carrying my flute. Elaine, the piano was always there. But Dick playing the marimba, it always had to be disassembled. There were 2 racks of pipes, and they would wrap them in blankets. We'd have to pack them in a car, and we'd have to unpack them, and he would play. He could play with 4 mallets. And then the reverse happened when we were all finished. Mother was thrilled. No, we weren't, but we did what she told us to do. So anyway, I really became interested in performing then. I did some things in high school, but believe it or not, I was relatively shy or insecure. So I didn't get a whole lot of parts in the plays in the high school. Then in the summer after I graduated from college and came home, Miriam Sayre and her friends Doris Cook and Rosie Drexel. I don't know if you knew Rosie. What a wonderful woman. They had a little theater group, so we would do some shows. We and Miriam then would direct. So we did one that was called They Came to a City by R.B. Priestley. He was an English author, and Miriam liked the English authors. It was really strange. It was at the high school auditorium, and the main part was in like 2 stages, one lower than the other, and at the very end of the stage, on stage right, was a giant double doors that looked very heavenly. They Came to a City was the name of the thing, and all of these people would go up, and they had the choice of going into the doors of heaven. I suppose their life would change, or not. Some were admitted, some weren't. But it was strange. So anyway, we did. Miriam was wonderful. So I think one of the challenges that we faced as GCT was finding a place to perform. So we performed at the Elks Club, in the basement of St. Paul's Methodist Church, and at North School in the auditorium on that stage. So we were thrilled to death to discover that my brother and sister were going to donate the building to the theater. And she's watching now.
Shout outs.
You know, and so we were tickled to death, even though when we went in to see what it looked like, there were no overhead lights. And it was very wet. There were leaks in the roof, so there were drips. We had flashlights, but we could see because there were cracks between the bricks on the west side, and the sunlight was coming in. So that gave us a little, we didn't care at all. We just hopped in there, and everybody in the community was so excited for us. You were giving us money and helping to clean and paint and do all those things. It was a really wonderful experience.
We took a look at some of those old photos this
Yes.
week. We put a couple up online, and just even the lobby is
One of the
changed
funniest
drastically.
ones was Marty Cecil and Barb Burkhardt up in the men's restroom, sitting on the floor cleaning the urinals.
Oh no.
I'm sure that was fun for them.
Oh, they were laughing and having a good time. And even some of the high school students came in and helped us clean.
Mhm.
So it was a major project, but it was well worth it. Eventually then, we had, with donations and grants and pledges, we have put probably a little over $1 million into that
Oh my
building.
goodness.
There's when we'd have groups come, bands or whatever, they would often remark about what a perfect place it was.
Mhm.
The sound effects for instruments was wonderful. You're just bashing off the walls. So, but I have to give credit to my sister again, who served as president for 23 years. And she had so much experience in theater and leadership and fundraising and budgets and all that stuff that she led us and got us into good financial shape. Thank God.
Mhm.
And we've had many other people coming in to help us. We've had
Yeah.
other officers, like your mom. She's a dynamo. She never stops, does she?
She does not, no.
No, that's not. She just keeps going and going and going, the Energizer Bunny. So, okay, let's see, what else do I want to tell you? You asked about some roles at the theater, what I enjoyed
Yes,
most. I
you've done it all.
Yeah, I did. I was such a ham. I grew out of that bashful stage.
I know, I was gonna say, I don't think
Yeah.
I can imagine you shy.
Yeah, I was shy and all. But anyway, she's not hurting me, but whatever.
The people want her too.
Yeah.
That's what I'm seeing in the
I-
comments.
I love the dramas. I love the comedies.
Mhm.
Mostly I loved the musicals.
Yeah.
So my favorite ones were, of course, Oklahoma and Carousel.
Mhm.
And I had the opportunity to play those at the Mansfield Playhouse and
Oh.
Renaissance too.
Nice.
But, so over the years, I was counting up, trying to go back. Right now I am assembling some kind of a history. I just think we need to have a history written down and preserved for that theater. So,
Definitely.
oh my gosh, it is so mixed up and all. So I'm going back through records, trying to put together the seasons.
Mhm.
And I spent a few hours the other day, and I think I got 10 of them.
I might be able to help you.
Oh.
A lot of the theater's history is in pieces and parts across my dining room table over there.
Oh,
You can
excellent.
take a look before you leave.
Yes, maybe we can collaborate a
Yeah,
little bit. That would be
definitely.
wonderful. Except you're working and I'm not, so you don't have as much time. But anyway, so you asked me also, how did I imagine that the theater would change as much since
Yeah.
1934, 84, 84.
10 more years.
30 years, I wasn't even born in 34. And whether it would still be here, and I think, oh my gosh, yes, it would still be here. I don't think with all the talented, wonderful, dedicated people, I wish I could name everybody who's been involved. I'm sure that I would miss someone, so I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to say that the three of us are.
Yes.
But anyway, I will say that when we first formed, there were 18 board members.
Yeah.
It went down then to 15, and right now I think it's at 13.
I think 12?
12?
Maybe? Yes. Fred recently, but we've got elections coming up.
Yeah,
So if you're
yeah.
interested.
Sure. Okay, all right, be a good one. So what I was trying to do was to figure out, now I wonder how many, if there were originally 18 board members, then 15, then 13, if you multiply 36 years times the average of those three amounts of board members, I have 540 volunteer board members.
I'm glad you did the math. I never would have been able to do that.
I don't think my math isn't very good, so that's probably way off. But, you know, we were so lucky to have, you know, like you guys and your mom and your sister and Adam. Oh, what a blessing he was for our musicals.
I think he's watching. Don't make his head get any bigger.
It wasn't that great. But, you know, I think of Hoover, who was our legal representative, and he served as an interim president of the board, and then he's always been helping us. He helped us to become, to get our 501c3.
Yes. Yeah.
And help us to rewrite the Constitution. And he was just wonderful. Hi, F. Scott, this is Zelda. That's really strange, isn't it? And you know, there's like Rick and you know, Paul building sets, and Chris Rothbaum was such a talent for us. And of course we have Roland. He's so
He likes the
good.
behind the scenes work, yeah.
And he is, but he's also a very fine actor. I was very
He's
impressed.
very good at falling.
Thank you. Speaking of, Mark Schock has a question
Oh, yeah.
about Noises Off, which is the show that you
Oh,
directed.
yes.
Would you like me to read his question? or-
Yes, because I cannot.
Okay. He says, Noises Off was such a fast-paced show, so quick we sometimes hardly realized what we were doing on stage. What was the hardest part for you as the director of Noises Off? I'm guessing from such a challenging perspective.
Yes. The challenge was, can I figure out, how can I help them to figure out what door to go through and all the doors and getting to the right place at the right time. And I have to say, I didn't have to do that because that cast knew their parts so well. They had studied, they knew which door to go in and out. I was absolutely amazed. So I actually just sat back and enjoyed the accolades, you know, and listening to them. But that was hard. I was really, really nervous. That was not one of my favorite shows, but it has turned out to be one of my favorite shows, and that the cast was outstanding. Yeah. So Mark, there you go.
It was all Mark. No, that show was amazing to watch. It was so fast paced, and then things are supposed to go wrong, but then things were going wrong that weren't supposed to go wrong.
And
the
they
actors
recovered
stepped up.
so
Yeah.
quickly. Yeah, that was wonderful. So, okay, let's get back to business.
Yes. Let's see. Yes. Oh, can you put a number to how many productions you've been a part of?
You know, I went back and I think I have done 63 for Gown Community Theater, or 67, in some capacity, involved in some capacity, whether it was just makeup or on the stage or on the side or wherever. Yeah. And then with some other places like the Wren and Mansfield and Bussards. Altogether, I think I've done about 80.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Well, you know, at my age, that's one a year.
Started young.
Yeah. Right out of the, never mind. Yeah, it's been a great thrill, but seeing Galleon Theater come together has just been wonderful, just wonderful. So,
a lot of it is due to all the work that you've done and the people around you.
Oh, yeah. I didn't do it. I mean, all these great people. So you asked also, I did want to mention that there are so many people who were instrumental in getting us started and also performing and all, and many of them have passed away. And I'm sure they would be absolutely astounded at what we've got there. But some of them, their names are on the plaques in the lobby, so people can check that out. Just wonderful, wonderful people.
Elaine says a shout out to Charlie, the house manager.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
We need Charlie on.
Charlie Adcock. We kind of stole him from Mansfield. He played the Renaissance and Mansfield Playhouse, and I think it was Chris Lofbaum that tormented him until he came over and did a show for us, and he's been with us ever since. Wonderful. He could be a professional stage manager. He is that good.
Oh yeah, he definitely keeps people in line.
Oh my gosh, he takes no guff from anyone, and he is the boss. And he even said, like on the final night of rehearsal, he'll say to me, "Okay, that's it for you, out." And then from that point on, he takes over. But that's what professional stage managers do.
Mm-hmm. He
And
kicked me out of the light booth during my show.
so, who mentioned that? Elaine?
Yeah.
Lisa Chapman says Elaine is watching, and
Okay,
she
good.
says to give a shout out to Charlie. So.
Oh, bless her heart. I'm
Yeah.
so glad she did that. So I guess I shouldn't say anything bad about my sister.
No, it's not.
She has been an inspiration for me. You know, she has done summer stock and has her master's in theater from Bowling Green. She has directed at Worthington and was at Worthington for many, many
I
years.
think I saw an article about her time at Worthington, maybe in all of the theater scrapbooks.
Yes.
I'll have to pull that out.
And she, when she retired, they brought her down she helped to design their theater with exactly the right amount of space backstage for dressing rooms and for sets and so forth, set construction. And they named the theater after Elaine. Above the wall of the doors going in, it says the Hot Rust Center for the Performing Arts. She's an incredible woman.
That's pretty cool.
She really is. That's the last nice thing I'm saying to you. That's it.
Uh-oh.
But, so you asked about a favorite memory. I'm not sure that this was favorite, but I'm not a superstitious person, but one day I was up at the theater painting on a set, and I stepped in off stage right into that upper hallway.
Mm-hmm.
And as I look down the hallway, I see this white image floating across and into the green room. There are no windows down there, so I don't know what it was, but it scared me so much that I put my brush down, grabbed my keys, and left the building. I was absolutely certain that it was a ghost. So,
Ah.
which brings me to the tradition of the ghost light on stage
Mhm.
center. We used to do that all the time, and actually, the purpose of it was required by equity. And the purpose of it was to protect people so they wouldn't step off the edge of the stage into the orchestra pit when it used to be down there.
I do that even when they're
And then, yeah, and then it was put up because it was supposed to be superstitious, and if there were any ghosts or goblins in the building who were messing with the makeup or with the costumes, the ghost light would scare them away.
Mm-hmm.
So we used to do that. I wish that would have been up that day I saw that.
We'll have to bring it back because I don't want to
Yeah,
see
all
ghosts.
it is it's just a post, and they used to have like the Edison light. It had the wire protective device around it, and just like a bare bulb. So we should do that.
You new one, yeah.
It's just impressive, I think. So, you asked them about how I don't want to take all the time. What do we do if we
Feel
run out?
free. Feel
We've
free.
got all the
Sarah.
time.
Oh boy,
Let's see, one of my questions is, what do you value about theater, and specifically theater in a small community, or specifically in Gallatin?
absolutely. I have seen more older people and young people who come in out of curiosity, but they say, "Oh, I could never do that. You know, I'm too shy." I have seen so many people come in, take a part, maybe a small part, build it up a little bit, and it has changed them. Their confidence grows. They loosen up, they open up, and it just makes a wonderful change in their life.
Mhm.
So I think that's a good purpose for the theater, if nothing else.
Definitely.
So I said, what I said was that, you know, if they're shy, they gain confidence.
Mhm.
And they do form bonds. Friendships
Oh,
are
sure.
formed.
Yeah.
You know, and even to the end, when the show is over, and you've spent all that time together, and then you tear down the set, and it's, oh, she was busy, that was important. You take down the set, and there's a sense of sorrow.
Mhm.
And then you have a little party, and you eat together, and you joke, and you talk about the show, and talk about what you liked about it, and what you're going to miss. And it's like a closing, you know, you're ending that period, that time. So it's all over with now, and it's okay, it's all over with, but we had such a good time, and call me next time, you know. So that's a wonderful contribution, I think,
Mhm.
and with children, when we do the
Definitely.
children's show. You did, what's the one about the newspaper?
Newsies, yeah.
Newsies.
We have Connor Morton on next week. Oops, just kidding. You don't know that till Monday.
You heard it here first.
Whoops.
No, it's all good.
Early intro.
Connor Morton
Mhm.
was so good in that. Now, he's in school, correct?
Yes. Mhm.
And you directed that, didn't you, Beth?
Eric Palmer directed. I did choreograph though, and that was exhausting.
It was exhausting, but it was transforming. I mean, I just couldn't believe, I thought, oh yeah, well, they'll do it. Puny job. It was terrific. It really was.
It's
It was-
amazing that group of kids just latched onto all the material so fast, and I'm sure they were as exhausted as I was with the 4-hour choreography rehearsals every Sunday for 2 or 3 months. But the end of that show, I don't think the tears stopped for any of those kids, just
That's
because the
awesome.
bonds are so strong.
Yeah, we just have to keep that up for the youth.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, that's where our next generation of actors
Yeah.
is coming from. Yeah, that was, I couldn't believe it. I was just absolutely flabbergasted with that show.
Mhm. We need
And
to do a
everybody I
reprise.
talked to said the same thing, what?
We need to do a reprise. I'm sure they're all game.
You think so?
Yeah.
Really? Well, there's no reason why we can't do some of the shows like, some of the old standards. Elaine always believed that, to bring the classics back on occasion. And even
Yeah.
if you've done a show, if it was good,
Mhm.
let's do it again, you know, with
Yeah.
another kind of cast. So we can do like, Guys and Dolls was wonderful. Do you remember that one?
That was one that I did not catch. I don't know where I was.
Yeah, but you were in school.
Yes. Or that was, I think, maybe
Hey.
the
That was
summer
pretty
after my
early.
freshman year, maybe?
Yeah, it was pretty early in our career.
Oh, maybe, yeah, the first
Yeah.
time, and then
Yeah.
the second time.
Yes.
When was that? 2015? I don't remember.
Oh, Guys and Doll, that's got men and women in it, right?
Yes,
Stop.
those are the dolls.
Oh, okay. All right.
Oh,
We've got another question from the audience here. It's Mark Schock again.
Hey, Mark.
He's very interested in you, Nancy. He says, I've seen you a part of both very large shows and very small shows. Which do you prefer? And I'm going to guess he's talking about maybe the size of the cast.
Yes.
Or maybe the size of the production.
You know, it's a whole different set of problems. With the large show, it's trying to get a lot of people on a stage and make it look natural. It's fun to have the small ones and then just let them, turn them loose. Like we did one we used to do shows called Ensemble Stage Productions, ESPs.
Mm.
And we would have people come in and just, like we had Ray Jarrell from Mansfield and Elaine, and they did love letters, which was a book, you know, they each had a desk, and they would read the love letters they sent to each other. It was really touching. So those, and I'm trying to think what else we did too. Sandy Hoffer and Larry Smith with I'm Herbert. Oh, about two old people that they're so befuddled. Sandy did that very well. She's gonna see that, be mad. But bringing back the classic shows,
Yeah.
I think is fun to do.
Singing in the Rain is it is my favorite musical, so I'd love to see that one on our stage.
Wow. Now, how would you do that? With the rain?
Paul's gonna figure it out.
Cut a hole in the roof, I think.
Yeah,
sure.
our town had rain, right?
Yeah. When we did, speaking of rain, when we did Our Town, it was Nikki Paluga, and the young man from Colonel Crawford, I can't recall his name, but anyway, in the cemetery scene, when she dies, in the cemetery scene, we go in with umbrellas, and there was rain, and we had so many people afterwards say, "How did you do that?" Well, we had holes in the roof. So the rain was literally coming down through the holes on the roof. And they thought we were wonderful that we did that. And my husband I died in that show. My husband died in that show. We were sitting in the cemetery when Nikki came to be buried. And supposed to sit there very solemnly. And my husband always fell asleep. So he was kind of stretched out like this, just so sound asleep, and I kept going, stop, still wake up, and he said, "Stop it, just stop it, I'm dead." You know, so it's like,
Just making it look more realistic.
oh, I know it, but they, just, "Hi, sweetheart."
Abby, come here.
She's a good girl, she's a good girl.
She's a friend.
Abby, come.
There you go.
Speaking of the classics, Samantha Bear Tanner was asking about Sound of Music, which you had already touched on earlier,
Yes.
but I'm interested in knowing about the touring group of nuns.
Okay, to answer that question though, they did perform it. It was the very first show GCT ever did in 1984. So yes, we have done Sound of Music, but yes, the touring nuns.
Were you
Really?
involved in that group?
No.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Jim Hoover and Kitty Butterfield told us the first week that I guess our GCT nuns were very sought after, and they toured the state or the county or.
They did it without me.
Oh, no.
I didn't know, but
You were just busy.
I have been told that Jim Hoover, I said, the nuns chorus, we had such wonderful singers, and a woman from Bucyrus, Donna Kurtz, who was a voice teacher, and her voice was magnificent. And some of the others too, and Kim Spencer. So Jim always said we had the best nuns chorus around. So he toured the group, did he?
This is great. I love this. Oh, no. Oh,
I think he's tuning in, or he was here earlier. At least.
yeah, Jim's watching, so you've got some splaining to do, Mr. Hoover. Uh-oh.
We'll just have another episode, which is Jim and Nancy talking about this, working it out. Let's see. I think I had another question on here. Just a reminder to the audience, keep throwing those questions out there. We'll make sure we get to those. You talked about wanting to see some classics on the
Yes.
stage. Is there any specific one or a couple of shows that you really want to see GCT do, or
Well,
that would be fitting on our stage?
we did two shows, the apprentice members of the theater
Yeah.
years back, and it was the Greg Ramsdale. They did Arsenic Lace up at the high school. And then we did it in Galleon, and I liked that show. That was a good show. So that would be fun to do again.
Yeah.
But I'd have to think. There's so many musicals.
Abby's trying to knock down the camera.
Yeah. Are you trying to steal my spotlight?
Always.
It's too
She says,
late.
I'm the star.
Oh, how sweet. So, okay. I did want to, you asked me once
Yeah.
about if there was ever a show that I would like to see performed on our stage.
Yeah.
And one of my favorites was Man of La Mancha. I always thought that would be a really good one to do.
Yeah.
It had won Tonys in New York, and it won big BAFTAs or whatever they have in England. It's very intense. You know, it's the story of Don Quixote. And, but it's beautiful music. It's really good. I thought that would be fun to try sometime.
Yeah.
I better hurry up.
You're
Oh,
fine.
you are
Take your
fine.
time.
No,
We've
I'm
got-
thinking I better hurry up if I want to do something like that, because I'm 82, so I've got to hurry up.
Oh, I
And
see. Oh.
that's the hurry up I mean.
You can sing us a little Manila Poncho. We'll record it and put it up on our Facebook page. Do an at-home one-woman show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there a
Anyway.
question?
Nope.
Oh, it'll. Okay, let's see. Have we missed anything in the comments?
You could probably have brought in a couple more people, couldn't you?
A
No, I
live
think
studio
this has been
audience.
Great, yeah.
Yeah.
Effie is our live studio audience. Okay, so feel free to keep typing in questions. I think those are all my questions. Any other fun stories you want to share about your time at the theater?
Well, after one of the shows, it was a very rainy day, and I don't know if you noticed, in the kitchen, right before you go in by the backstage John, there's a cabinet sitting there. Well, that used to be a door to the outside. And on this rainy night, we came up after the show, and the whole kitchen was flooded because the rain was so strong, so intense that it came right under the door. So we spent a couple hours after the show cleaning that up. Well, let's see, then there was the, then we did a show for, we always like to do the shows for the membership. The membership shows were so much fun.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we'd get up and act stupid, and they'd laugh, and
All your skits.
and so one time we were doing that, and I think Hoover was standing, we had a piano down by the stage, and he was going to sing, and they opened, the top of it was open, it was flipped up. And as he started playing the piano and singing, a bird flew out.
That's the
Just,
piano.
you know, there's this, well, that was a good time, everybody loved that.
Yeah.
But we always have a resident bat in the house.
Oh, yeah, for
You
sure.
know, they'll swoop down onto the stage, and we do not discriminate. We take bats, birds, lots of ants, a mouse here and there, and actors, in that order. So,
I think the Bats made several appearances. I know it was there during, I think Newsies it made an appearance, and I think we saw it during Beauty and the Beast. But
so I don't know,
always there.
what do they eat? Do they,
Actors, I think.
yeah,
Popcorn.
A
Still
bite
popcorn.
a
Concession
bite here
popcorn.
and there, a mouse here. I don't think they eat mice, do they? Eat insects, so they're probably keeping.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway. Okay, well, I'm trying to think, what else did I want to say? Come on now,
Yeah.
guys.
I mean, there's been so many renovations to the
Yeah.
theater during, I mean, you started from a barren building, is what
Yes,
you said. I
absolutely.
mean, what do you see as kind of one of the more important renovations, I guess? What do you think stands out among those?
Well, you know, when they were able to get the top layer out, when you walked in, there was an upper layer, and then you went down steps, and then there was the area in front of the stage. And when we were able to get rid of that upper layer and begin to put seats in, you know, platforms, when we got it painted and well, of course, then after we did that, then by golly, didn't it rain and we got mold and, but anyway, just, you know, making it presentable was important.
Mhm.
And I think it is now. It's, you know, you get it up to a certain point and then you have to start over again. You're gonna have to do some more cleaning, but, when you went in the front door, they had a big wall there. So when they tore that down, it opened up the lobby.
Yeah, I didn't realize that until I was
Yeah.
going through some
You
of the
know,
old
those
images.
pictures, yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know why they did that, but, they did. So got rid of the bar down below, and
Mhm.
there was just a lot of, it was just a neglected building for a long time.
Mhm.
So patching and plastering and painting was very important. So
Yeah.
that is the biggest thing. And then, you know, our grand drapes when we were able to get the grand drapes, and those, were $35,000 for those 2 drapes and the valance.
Yeah.
And then we got the wonderful soundboard. That was I think our second soundboard. And we're on our second light board. Those are up in the tens of thousands of dollars.
Mhm.
But they're so good. And
Right.
wonderful to have Rick Walker there to not only do the soundboard and teach others, but to lead the singing and direct the show. Everybody
Yeah.
does so many hats, wears so many hats.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
I just saw a question come in about all the hats you wore.
Oh, okay.
They want to know, what's your favorite role at the theater? What, is it directing or acting or backstage work?
It used to be being on stage, but I have had more satisfaction directing
Mm-hmm.
and making everybody else learn their lines. But
That is
there's something very satisfying in seeing the raw
Mm-hmm.
show and then watching it get better and better and better.
Yeah.
So I really, of course I have to say that because I can't remember lines anymore, so I can't go on stage. But,
You just need to write them on your hand. No.
although I know that, I don't want to take up all your time, I know that Angela Lansbury, what a wonderful actress she is,
Mhm.
she cannot remember lines anymore. She can still act, so what they
Yeah.
do is that she wears an earpiece.
That is genius.
And when she has a little glitch, she has a certain thing that she does, a little trigger, whether it's
Yeah.
moving a cup or doing something, and then they feed her the line. And then she goes on. It doesn't take away from her acting ability, it's
Yeah.
just, she's close to 90, so she can't remember as well, let's
Mhm.
face it. So anyway.
Yeah. Another question. I just saw it. Where'd it go? Oh, out of all the sets that you've helped design, do you have a favorite one of those?
Oh gosh, everyone is a different thing. I think one that was very difficult was the Cemetery Club. And I had to divide that stage into like a bookstore, and in the middle was a park, and then on the other side there was the cemetery, with the, so I had to figure out how to do that. I just used artificial grass. Made the tombstones out of cardboard, but that was a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good. Anytime you have to have multiple, Crossing Delancey was like that too, where the old lady was in her little kitchen,
Mm-hmm.
and then there was a space, and then there was another bookstore. So multiple sets.
Yeah.
I could never have done Noises Off without Paul Seltzer
Shout out to
designing
Paul.
that. Weren't we
Excellent
lucky
set.
he just graduated with a mechanical engineering degree?
Yeah.
Oh.
We posted a video of that
Yeah.
set change too.
If you're interested in looking at the Noises Off scene change that we've talked about a couple times, it was very, very cool. Take a look at our Facebook page. We posted it on Wednesday. So that is over there.
Oh, that was remarkable. I was
It's-
telling
It was
Oh,
fun to
and
do too, yeah.
one of the citizens said they came to the first show and were sitting down in front and decided at the end of the first act that maybe they'd made a terrible mistake. But when they started changing the set,
Mhm.
they said, oh, well, that's interesting, let's wait a little longer. By the end of the show, they were whooping and hollering, and he said, that's one of the best shows I've ever seen.
That was one of our loudest audiences,
Yeah.
I think, for any of our shows. There was just laughing from start to finish with that production.
Yeah.
Noises Off, just this
Yeah,
past
that
February.
was, it was tough, but, well, I did a lot of laughing too. Although I was worried because one of our actors had to do so many falls down
Oh, yeah.
steps. I was very concerned about him, especially when he got up one time and there was a little tear in the back of his pants. I was concerned. Did you know that?
No! Was there? Oh no!
The
How
tear in the
embarrassing!
Like the broken glasses.
Little flash of white there.
Oh no.
That was great.
Jeff Staten, I'm not sure.
Staten, yeah.
Yeah, he just said hello to one of his favorite teachers. Let's see, I saw.
I have to say that Jeff was a fun kid, but he was ornery. I really had to
Uh-oh.
sit down hard on him, but he's a good kid, quite a good man.
And then I just saw another question. Tony Plummer wants to know how many times Rex McGraw joined in at GCT.
How many times he was there?
Yeah.
You know, he directed, I think, 3 shows for us. He lived on Cape Cod. And he would come down in the summer and stay with Elaine, worried her to death because he was diabetic, but he insisted on eating candy bars. And just like, she was constantly worried, but he has since passed away, but he was, he directed at Ohio State and performed at Ohio State in the theater department. Yeah, he was quite a talent, but very unusual, shall we say. So.
Okay. And then we've got another question. You said your favorite show, but what's your favorite role that you've had at GCT?
Oh, goodness. Again, it has to be Aunt Eller in Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
Such a wonderful character. And then Carousel, Cousin Nettie, was the same kind of a role of the person. That's why I could play both of them. You couldn't tell the difference. The strong older woman that takes charge, you know.
We've got a great photo of you in front of Nettie's Cafe. I'll have to pull that out.
Yeah.
So you're definitely working the stage.
Oops.
You've got a presence.
Yes, it's a very grand
That's
photo.
the ham in me. That's for sure.
Okay, I think those are all my questions, but we usually wrap up the evening with a little performance. So if you want to sing a little tune.
How much time do I have? Ooh, I've got time.
All the time in the world.
Yeah.
And the orchestra,
Uh-oh.
Come on in.
There are no shows. We booked them. I don't know. Where are they?
well, as it happens, and this is, I must apologize to Kim Spencer because she was, what was her name? In Sound of Music.
Maria.
Maria. Yeah, I should remember that. I would call her Mary. But we sang together the raindrops and roses and whiskers on kittens, bright copper kettles and warm woolen mittens, brown paper packages tied up with string. These are a few of my favorite things. Girls in white dresses with blue satin sashes, snowflakes that stay on my nose and eyelashes, silver white winters that melt into spring. These are a few of my favorite things. When the dog bites, when the bee stings, when I'm feeling sad, I simply remember my favorite things. Then I don't feel so bad. And it helps if I stay on tune.
Woo!
Oh, yes. Well, now that was my good one. Do we have time for one more?
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely.
That was the good Mother Abbess.
Uh-oh.
Now, this is a little bit different. So.
Do we need to
It
put a
goes-
rating on the screen?
It goes like this. I'm gonna live till I die. Gonna laugh instead of cry. Before my number's up, I'm gonna fill my cup. I'm gonna live, live, live until I die. The blues I'll lay low. Thou make them stay low. They'll never trail over my head. I'll be a devil till I'm an angel. But until then, hallelujah, gonna dance, gonna fly, take a chance, riding high. Before my number's up, I'm gonna fill my cup. I'm gonna live, live, live until I die.
Ooh, I like that one.
Oh, yeah.
That was,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't even know what show that comes from. Frank
I was gonna
Sinatra.
ask.
Yeah, Frank
I know
Sinatra
it.
used to sing it, and he was one of my favorites. So
It is a classic.
yeah, he was a classic. Anyway,
Well,
so
yeah.
that's all I have, my dears.
Perfect. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you to our audience for tuning in.
Oh, thank you. Are we?
We
Over
are good,
now?
yeah. So one more thank you to all of you for tuning in. I think I already told you, maybe on accident, who's joining us next week, but check in on Monday for an official announcement of who our next guest is. And of course, we've got another fun week of educational and engaging content for you coming up. So thanks for tuning in and have a good night.
Is that a wrap?
And the curtain's coming down. Very dramatic here in the in-home theater. Do you want me to press turning on?